Hello there, I haven't done a video for a couple of days now, so I thought I might as well post what I'm going to make for dinner tonight. So I'm doing a biryani. Now you can put whatever you like in a biryani, protein wise, or just leave it plain, or vegetables. So it's pretty much open to your interpretation. So I'm going to do this particular recipe, and like I say, you can adapt it to what you want. Obviously biryani predominantly is a rice dish. Now what I've kind of found is people seem to have a lot of trouble cooking rice, and I'm not entirely sure why. So I'm just going to go over the basics of rice cooking, and like I say, I know there's plenty that can cook rice, so I'm not, assuming everybody can. But for the ones that are having a little bit of trouble, so the first thing, two basic types of rice I tend to, or three I use in my cooking is plain long grain rice, which is just a plain bog standard rice. Often used in Chinese cooking or other things like that, but it's quite neutral, bland flavour. Then we have basmati rice, which is often used in Indian type dishes and has more of a fragrant flavour. It's a smaller grain, thinner grain rice, more delicately flavoured, nice flavoured rice, and that's what I'm going to be using today. And then we've got things like jasmine rice that you put in Thai dishes, but predominantly they all absorb water. That's how we cook them. So whether you steaming rice or boiling rice, the whole point is you get the rice to absorb the water that you are cooking it with, and the rice puffs up. So the issue that we have is, depending on the types of rice, depends if it's got like a lot of starch, a lot of what forms the stickiness with rice. And the types of rice I tend to stick with is things like tilde, or even shop bought easy cook rices, and I know they're fairly clean rices and easy to cook with. So that's the rice. So we're going to just talk about boiling rice at the minute, and there's two broad categories for that. So the first one, which I'm going to be using today, is just boiling it in water. So it's a pan of water, lid off. I've got there 500 grams of rice, which is quite a lot actually, because this triples in size. So you've got to make sure the pot it's going in is big enough to, for the volume to go, this is going to triple, so it's going to be like that much in the pan. So you need a fair bit of water. You don't want it boatloads of water, but enough so at the end of the cooking time you can drain off the excess, and that's just the boiling method. Now, this is the method, obviously, that rice is bland. So if you need to add flavour, quite often this is a good stage to do it. If you want the final rice to have flavour to it, whether you put in there, like I often do, cumin seeds or turmeric or cardamom pods, cloves, blah, blah, blah. There's loads of different things I put on when I'm doing Indian dishes to make the rice flavoured. But if you put none of those in, the first you kind of really need to think about doing is at least season it. So I'm just going to put like in a pot about a teaspoon of salt. Now that's just going to give me some flavour to the rice. Key is with rice, number one, I'm going to put it in when the water's boiling, which it is. So the rice is going to go in, and I'm going to stir it, and I'm going to stir it now. And all that's doing is it's stopping it kind of sticking to the bottom, and it's just giving it a chance there to get into the boiling water and move around and not just clump together. Now set the timer. Alexa, set timer for 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
Really important. One of the biggest problems I've seen with people cooking rice is just overcooking it. You overcook rice, it's just going to become stodgy. Or once you've cooked rice and you haven't drained it, it's just going to sit there and continue to cook, which is going to come stodgy. So you'll think, oh well, I took it off in time. Well, you might have, but did you drain it straight away? If you don't drain it straight away, it just sits in continuous cooking. So that's that. Don't have it erupting and boiling all over. So I've got it just to bring it back to the boiler, and it's going to then get controlled, so it's just blipping nicely. It's all about, when we cook it, it's all about controlling the heat. That's all we're doing. And that makes a big difference between having a big mess or having things in order and in control. So that's my rice on the go. So that's just the basic boiling method. The next method you can use is a one called the absorption method. So same thing, you're putting it into a pan of with boiling water, but we measure the water. So basically for 1 cup, whatever size you use, for that you add double the amount of water. This is a basic rule of thumb. So 2 of those cups for 1 of those. So get your water in there, 2 of those in there, cup of rice. But the key this time is as soon as it's in there, you clamp the lid on, because we don't want to lose the water. We want the water to go in. I'm going to start controlling that. The water to go into the rice and not boil away. And with the absorption method, basically the advantage is everything is, if you like, saved in the pan. All the flavour, everything, we're not throwing anything away, it's just all going into the rice. So that's the benefit of using the absorption method. Plus, if you're adding any flavourings, you know, it's all staying in the pan. So that's that method. But the cooking time is generally exactly the same. And the way you kind of tell it's done is, you see, I'm turning around, I'm just looking, I'm alternate a dot at a time, just so it's not doing Vesuvius there, so we're not having a right mess. That's what we're doing. So yeah, with the absorption method, everything's going in, and what you find is towards the bottom of, or the end of cooking time, which should be around the same time, you find that little holes appear. So the holes are like little steam pockets, because as it's cooked down and all the liquid's kind of reducing down into the bottom, so you've got a level of rice there and a level of liquid, but as the level of liquid's getting smaller and smaller, it's still boiling up. So it's creating these little air pockets, these little holes, which telling you the liquid's actually boiling. You can see that. So generally you take it off at the cooking time, and then you leave the lid on, and it's not going to overcook because you've just got the water in that you need. So there's a little rice, whatever, info session, if you like. So that's the boiling method I'm using, and the absorption method. We use 1 cup of rice, whether it be basmati, whether it be long grain rice, and also check the packet as well. Generally for me, most rices are about 11 minutes, but one I use, which is a Tilde long grain rice, it takes 18 minutes. Brown rices take longer still, or you know, it might take 20 minutes or some brown rice. Always check the packet, just read the instructions and go by them. But I'm giving you today a rough guide for what I actually do. So that's my rice. So biryani, I said, enough chat, with the rice is on. Let's go through the ingredients. I always like to put things in order the way I put them in the pan. That means there's a method of me doing what I'm doing. So for starters, biryani, I'm going to either need some oil, which is a groundnut oil, or I'm going to use, which is a bit more flavoured, ghee, which is a Indian clarified butter. So it's made with clarified butter, that's ghee. Or you can just use a groundnut oil or rapeseed oil or something like that. A high temperature oil for cooking. So that's kind of key. This is cassia bark. It's the outer coat of a cinnamon stick. Sometimes just known as cinnamon stick. And there's also the name that they use, which I can't tell you what it is. Dacius, I don't know. But cassia bark, you can't miss it. It just looks like a piece of wood bark. Small piece of that. Then we're going to be putting in some green cardamom pods, a couple of those in. We're going to be putting in some cumin seeds, a few of those in. A couple of cloves, really nice, quite powerful in flavour. We're going to put some of those in. We're going to chop an onion and fry that, which is predominantly, mostly in every Indian, there's an onion in there somewhere. Then I'm adding garlic and ginger as a paste. So basically garlic and ginger paste is equal amounts of grated garlic and ginger. So overall I want about a tablespoon, so I'm going to grate those, same amounts, mix them together. There's my garlic and ginger paste. That's that done. I'm using some passata, which, or tomato puree, it's known as in a particular recipe I'm using, but passata works fairly well, this one. Or if you haven't got that, it's slightly more expensive, another way around it, good way around it, tin of tomatoes, a little squeeze of tomato concentrate in there, blend it up, and then you've got yourself a sort of a ready-made passata, good to go. That's good. Flavour might not be the same, but it'll get you there, it'll be fine. There's enough flavour going in with the spices. Then we get on to the good old turmeric. Keep your fingers away from that, otherwise it'll look like you're a 60-a-day smoker, the old turmeric. Yeah, it's a blind of that, you know, it gets everywhere. A little tip, if you ever get turmeric on stuff or on your hands or anything, well, not so much on your hands, you'll have to just wash those. Sunlight is what fades it. So if you've got anything you think ruined with turmeric, knacked, it's forever ruined. Sunlight, it'll fade it, it'll get rid of it. Other ingredient, this is, if you have a look on my recipe videos on the Indian, this is mixed powder. I've done the recipe for this, or it's my little, hello Daisy, or curry powder, which is another one I've done on there. You can either use either or, curry powder or mixed. This is mixed powder I'm using. Slightly more in it, so I'm using the mixed powder. Some plain old yogurt, but it's not plain old yogurt, this one, because I made this one. I need to do a thing on that. Yogurt, brilliant. We need to make some yogurt. Brilliant. If you haven't got a yogurt maker, it's basically just a little flask that heats up. But make your own yogurt. We're going to have to do that. You need to make your own yogurt. So you don't want to buy everything. You need to make it if you can. Anyway, that's that one. And the final one, I don't know how long I've had this, a bit of saffron. Don't have to use it, but it's quite authentic in a biryani. And on top, some fried onions, which give it a little, you can buy them actually, a little container from supermarket. Crispy fried onions, dried, they look like dried, but that's all they are. So that's whisked through the ingredients. I'm going to turn up and it stopped boiling. It's like, you could have told me it stopped boiling. It'll be fine, it's still blipping, it's all good. And a key with your rice, once you've stirred it once, do not stir it again, just let it do its thing. Otherwise you'll end up with rice porridge, which we don't want. So that's it, first stage done. Talked about rice, and when that's off, what I'm going to do is drain it straight away. It's going to go, I'm not going to come back to this one because I don't need to show you how to drain rice, but I'm going to drain it. Once it's steamed and all the liquids come out, I'm going to put it on a flat tray, because cooling is very important with rice. Get it cooled down within an hour, and the way to do that is to spread it out and then get it in the fridge, because we're going to be using this rice cold out the fridge. That's the way we kind of do fried rices and dishes with rice like that, so it's got to be cold. So that's that. Drain it, let it steam on a tray, cool it. As soon as it's cool enough, in the fridge, but it needs to be in the fridge within 1 hour. Get it cooled in there, because it is a perfect medium for growing bacteria, and we don't want that. Don't make people poorly. So there we go. Stage 1, biryani, tick. Bye for now.